Hey everybody, got another video here for you. Time for paint shop action on the Cowboys guitar. Starting with mixing up some blue stain. It's Keta wood dye, and I'll be mixing it with water, not alcohol. So it's pretty dark looking, but this stuff actually comes out lighter than you would think. So something like this will probably end up about the shade that the Krylon paint was. And if it's too dark, I can always sand it back a bit. It's not a veneer. Right, so you get the basic idea. Finish hitting it up with blue. Uh, Wait until it dries. See how much it gets lighter. You know, that looks almost black right now, but wait until it dries and see what's up. So, yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so I hit up the front with blue. Let that dry. You can see how, like, the three-piece, the center section doesn't take it quite as well, but wait and see. Yeah, so give this 30 minutes to an hour, and you just wait and see how much lighter it gets. It might need some sand back, it might not. Life in the paint shop lane, everything is guesswork. I might have guessed too dark on this first batch, but once it dries a little bit, I can see where it's going, and is this enough, or I need to go thinner. Almost out, actually, but yeah. Life in the paint shop lane. Everything's an experiment, and sometimes you get lucky. So, it's the next day, and this is dry, and this is probably a little too dark. Can't even really see any figure in the wood or anything, so I'm going to knock it back a little bit with some sandpaper. I haven't figured out what grit yet. Something pretty fine, though, probably, because this is awfully soft. Like I said, it's almost like balsa. It's also could use a little something because that raises the fuzz doing this. I should probably raise the grain on all the rest of it. I think I'll start by trying some 320, see what that does. Way too fine. I'm going to try some 60. Okay, some of the figuring is starting to come back in. That was like way too much blue. Um, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to actually power sand this down a little bit in order to get it even a bit lighter, and then hit it with a much thinner blue in order to smooth things out and bring out the figuring in the wood. Also got to get rid of that, but yeah, the electric sander will make faster work of this, because this is doing the job, but I'd have to spend, three times the amount of time that I've already spent on it in order to get it ready for the next shot of light blue stain. Okay, I've got it sanded back now, so that's kind of a faded blue jeans kind of a thing going on. And once again, you can see the figuring in the wood through the blue. Uh, this right side, it's got some darkness, almost going green when you go with the blue. There's nothing really you can do about that when you're dyeing things or staining things. It's a blend of the wood color and the dye or stain you're applying. But at this point, everything's like blended in and faded enough that I can hit it with a solid coat of a thinner, lighter blue and get closer to the results I'm aiming for, which would be kind of this, but more uniform and a little bit darker. So I'm thinking the approach to take is go really light and shade, at least at first, and then slowly darken the shades and add more coats until I get it dark and uniform enough. I'm not trying to get a faded blue chain kind of a thing going on. I want it to all be blue, but still want to be able to see some wood grain through it, some figuring. Okay, I took that little bit of blue that was still left in this jar and I just filled the whole jar up with water, and it's still awfully dark, but maybe not too dark. So this stuff looks darker than it comes out, but I don't know. I was counting on that last time and got it too dark. We'll see what happens. Okay, this thing's had a couple days to dry, and it's time for a nap to test. Um, this should make it a darker and a richer blue, and more or less approximate what it'll look like when it's clear coated. Um, it's going to look lighter and duller before I put the naphtha on. It's also got a bit of the almost greenish thing going on here with this section of the wood, which is somewhat disappointing. It looks worse in the camera than it does in real life. All right, cross your fingers. Yeah, that's a nice rich blue there. That's all looking good. What about this stuff? That'll do. Yeah, I think that'll do. So it's kind of like what it'll look like when it's clear coated. So, yeah, that looks a little extra yellow in the camera. Yeah, I think it'll do. All right, so I know what basic color I'm shooting for. Now the next step, once this naphtha dries off, would be to raise the grain on the back side. And in order to control where the water goes, I think I'll just wipe it down with the damp tissue. First, I gotta let the naphtha dry though. That'll probably take, well, I really do sit down, probably take half an hour. Okay, this thing's dried, and now it's time to take some 320 and knock down the fuzz. At the same time, I'll also like sand this bit back a bit in order to even it out so that when I hit it again with the blue dye, it'll come out even. So, yeah. And now I'll just go around the sides with the 320 and that'll be it. Okay, the grain has been raised and the fuzz has been sanded back, even on the sides and stuff. Everything's all set. And I sanded out the darker spots so that it'll look pretty even when I hit it again with the stain. And I also took the 320 and paid special attention to the back edge here for the handshake in order to make sure that things felt good there, because this is a part of the guitar that the player's really gonna feel. And when you get the neck bolted on there, they're gonna come up here and they're gonna go like this, and it's got to feel just right. And so, yeah, I took special time to make sure that's all curved over and nice and smooth. And I was almost considering making these even bigger, but I mean, it's a Strat. It's not designed for perfect access, so I'm not going to mess with that. And then on the back here, it's ready for stain, dye, sorry. And if you notice, when I was doing the front, this is the dark blue I was using, and I hit it all up, and then I took just a wet tissue and took the parts that were a little bit too dark and kind of tried to blend them in a bit. And then the parts that were still looking a little light, I just right quick thinned out some of this stuff and came up with a slightly lighter shade that I hit up on the parts that were still looking light. And I think I'm going to just use this lighter shade on the back and see where it gets me. And last time, the tissue I was using, it was breaking up a lot, leaving a lot of debris on this. So So this time I'm going to go with a foam brush. I don't have any paper towel, shop towel, anything like that handy at the moment. I'm out of stock, so. But I do have foam brushes, so I'll use a foam brush with this stuff. And that's next. That's definitely going to need the darker stuff. Well, I think that's going to do it for this video. So, until the next one, everybody, have a good one.